Let's see how far we can go. Alright, yep, stick with Chizuru. This is a work of fiction. Name characters, businesses, places, events, and instances mentioned in this work do not have any direct... We'll never know. Alright. It's skipping time! A lot of this we have seen, I think. Yeah, I think every single... Almost all of these we have seen before. This is gonna be short. We might get through 2 chapters if we skip. So let's start skipping! Attempt to explain my situation. They're coming in. And the thing that gets Heisuke is... Decided to tell them I wasn't a boy. As I turned to go, I rounded on Tolo to glare at him furiously. Earlier you said a man should know when to accept his fate. You don't think there's anything wrong with killing a man before hearing him out?
お前さ、口の利き方に気をつけろよ。自分がどんな立場かわからないわけ。そっちこそ男らしい態度取れば、俺らの事情を素直に受け入れればいいだろう。
But I'm not a man.
もしかしてさ、女とか。
うん。
ちょっと待てって。
それは
ま、確かにそんな感じだな。体の線が女性的で柔らかいというか。
そんなもんわかるか。普通女は袴なんて履かねえだろうが。
女子でもなぎなたや馬術の際に袴は用いるぞ。
Thank you, Saito. Okay, now we skip. What are we doing? Searching the compound. We're back at ground zero. As I thought about it. We're fine. We're just doing Heisuke's route a little bit because we finished Sakamoto. Yeah, that's it. Alright, we headed out. We're looking around. I took a deep breath, gathering my courage, and stepped out of the room. There's no one here. I looked around. The hall was utterly empty. Then again, since I'd snuck out of my room, it was probably for the best that no one had seen me. Ah, farming. That's fun. Still, I felt a little guilty about it. Perhaps I should have just stayed in my room. If I wandered around the compound, it was likely I'd see something I wasn't supposed to. I'd already stumbled onto one of the Shinsengumi secrets the night I met them. I had no wish to do so again. Maybe I should reconsider. After some deliberation, I decided it was best to return to my room, but as I turned to walk back... From near the entrance, I heard something. Slowly, I peeked around the corner. Walking towards the door, looking as if they would prefer not to be seen, were Harada and Nagakura. Oh! Can I come with you? Maybe if they let me go outside, I could finally start looking for my father.
そりゃ別に構わねえが、お前は楽しくないんじゃねえかな。
連れて行けるかバカ。勝手に許可してんじゃねえよ。
ああ、外出禁止なんだっけな、お前。それより見張りなしで部屋から出てていいのか？
Well, where are you going anyway?
おいおい、ごまかすなよ。まあ、いいけどな。俺らはこれから島原に行くとこだ。
島原? The name was familiar. Wait, isn't that in the red light district? Nagakura shook his head between us and sighed.
女の子に向かって島原に行くとかわざわざ本当のこと言うなよ。
嘘つけねえんだよ俺。知ってんだろ。考えに繰り出すくらい別にやましくもねえし。
Ah, yes, the red light district.
お前は酒が目当てだろうから後ろめたくもなんともねえだろうよ。
Nagakura, are you going for something other than the alcohol?
いや、酒っていうかなんていうか、ほら、お酒って言うだろ。
True, there was likely no shortage of beautiful women throughout Shimabara. Someone like Harada who visited just for the drinks was a rarity, if I were to guess. But you're going in the afternoon?
真っ昼間から酒飲むのも男のロマンってやつなんじゃねえの？
Harada held a natural charm that seemed to shrug off any judgment over possible impropriety. Ugh. Well, even so, I hardly think it's good to be drinking in the afternoon. Even if it was every man's dream, it didn't feel right to condone it. Two captains drinking during the afternoon would hardly help the Shinsengumi's low public opinion. Then again, perhaps it wasn't my business to think of the Shinsengumi's public reputation.
あのよ、昼から遊び歩くのはあんまり常識的じゃないってお前の言うこともわかるんだけどよ。近頃の今日は何かと物騒なんだ。俺たち新選組だってうかつに夜遊びできねえ。
He's bringing the crocodile tears. True.
だから常識に縛られず行きたい時に行く。真っ昼間から遊びに行くことを迷わねえ。
That didn't really seem right. But even so, on some level, his absurd logic made some sense. After all, everyone needs to relax from time to time, especially if they have the worries of the Shinsengumi. Look, Nagakura's gonna be loud as fuck because he's passionate as fuck, alright? And if they worked at night, then when else would they go out but the afternoon? I was reflecting upon this when Todo walked in.
あれ、まさかお前も行くの？
Well, I still haven't received permission to leave the house. I don't want Hijikata-san to get mad at me.
そっか、そいつは残念だな。
You going to Shimabara too then, Todo?
ああ、そうだけど。で、東堂さんとか他人行儀な呼び方やめようぜ。
Well, what should I call you then?
ヘイスケでいいよ。みんなも俺のことヘイスケって呼ぶし、これからしばらく一緒に暮らすんだしよ。それに、そのデスマスもやめようぜ。年も近いからもっと気楽に話してくれよ。
Really? I just didn't want to be rude, Todo.
ほら、治ってないぜ。
Alright then, Heisuke.
そうそう。んじゃあ、今日から改めてよろしくな。
It's a pleasure to meet you too, Heisuke. It wasn't anything important, I knew, but something about the exchange made me feel happy. Heisuke had, perhaps unknowingly, cheered me up. But... You're still going to Shimabara then?
そりゃでも島原だから女ってわけじゃねえよ。みんなで酒飲んでバカ騒ぎしたい気分なんだ。
Oh.
お前が女の格好をしてくれるんならそれだけで十分に目の保養なんだけどな。
What?
あ、俺も絶対可愛いと思う。いろいろ落ち着いたら振り袖とか着てみせてくれよな。
You guys, this is just so sudden. It was embarrassing for them to treat me like a girl all of a sudden, as if it just occurred to them. Dress like a girl? What should I tell them? Sure, when I get the chance someday. Not sure of what else to do, I nodded awkwardly and they beamed back at me. When I get the chance someday. Sound good?
Honto ka? Yatta ze! Yakusoku da zo. Wasuren na yo.
I didn't need Heisuke's advice on how I should dress, considering it was something I looked forward to once I got the opportunity. So why did I feel so embarrassed? Once we settled the topic of the appropriateness of my wardrobe, Nagakura shared his opinion.
そういうわけでさしてくれよ。俺らは汗水垂らして今日の治安を守ってんだぜ。
That's not a very convincing excuse. Despite my reservations, I understood the truth. They were partaking in normal activities for men. Besides, it was I to try and stop them in the first place. I certainly had no authority over them. Well, visiting pleasure quarters in broad daylight wasn't my thing. If their superiors took no issue, I was a guest of the Shinsengumi, and it would be rude of me to try and tell them what to do. But even so, they went out of their way to talk to me until I felt better about the situation. This showed they were good men with nothing to hide. Alright. I suppose their reasoning made sense to me, and part of me was just envious of them. I too wanted to be free of the stillness in this compound and search for my father.
土産買ってきてやる。何か食べたいものあるか?
Even though I was still turning the issue at hand in my head, the thought of food made me salivate. Alright then, I'd like some tangerines. Maybe we can eat them together tomorrow afternoon?
そいつはいいな。わかったぜ。
土方さんから外出許可が下りたらさ、お前の好きなとこ連れてってやるから。
Thank you. But Heisuke, you don't need to worry, alright? Even if you couldn't take me out now, it's the thought that counts. Thanks for cheering me up.
悪いな。ちゃっくら出かけてくるぜ。
Just as I waved to send those three off.
おや、これからみんなで出かけるのかい?
All of us nonchalantly turned our heads around to see Inoue pacing towards us.
よりによって源さんかよ。
おっと、こいつは参ったな。
They all refused to make eye contact and fell silent, so I responded to Inoue in their stead. Well, I'm not going anywhere, but, I had no idea what else to say. Were they expecting me to cover for them?
ほら、あれだよ、源さん、あれ。みんなで素振りでもしようかなって。
Heisuke quickly warmed to his excuse, as to Nagakura.
そう、それだ、平介。よく言った。今日は天気もいいし、風が暖かいからな。
What they said. After hearing their excuse, Inoue reacted.
いやはや長倉君たちは熱心だな。せっかくの機会だ。私も付き合わせてくれるかい?
He looked honestly happy, pleased with the dedication of his fellows.
それは。
Well, they fucked themselves over.
そうきたか。
Seeing as they were hopeless in getting themselves out of this, I decided to lend them a hand. You guys are really going to train? Just then Heisuke opened his mouth.
あ、ごめん。俺もみんなと素振りしたいけど、今日は先約があるから付き合えないんだった。
Plans?
こいつに豚書の中を案内してやるって約束。そうだったよな。
It was news to me.
なあ頼む、話合わせてくれ。
He gave me a desperate, somber look with eyes like a sad puppy. I had no choice but to go along. That's right.
ああ、そうそう、そうだよな。
His eyes sparkled and he grabbed a hold of my hand and began to walk off. Heisuke had cheered me up earlier, after all. Perhaps in this way I was returning the favor.
待て、ヘイスケ、一人だけ逃げようなんざ。
Before he could even finish, Hanada interrupted, a mischievous grin appearing on his face.
俺も付き合ってやるよ。他の大使に絡まれちゃ面倒だろ。
Well, I suppose you have a point.
そうかそうか。原田くんの言うことはもっともだね。
Once again disregarding Heisuke's abilities.
彼女のことは二人にお任せするとして。じゃあ長倉くん、我々は中庭に行こうか。
ヘイスケのみならず、お前もか佐野。
His knuckles turned white and his face shook with exasperation.
よし、逃げぞ。
What?
新発さんすぐ怒るからな。
Heisuke grabbed my hand and Harada pushed me from behind, and soon we were moving away from the entrance at a rapid clip.
この裏切り者、戻ってこい。
Nagakura's shouts were echoing, but the laughter of the two men caused their eyes to sparkle in kind. It was infectious, and I couldn't help but laugh with them, my worries gradually drifting from me. After the commotion settled, Heisuke and Harada gave me a tour of around the headquarters. Nagakura, alternatively, had no such luck. I heard later that he and Inoue spent the rest of the day training, just the two of them. At the end of the day, I think he's a good man.